Bruins win 4-3 at the freaking buzzer against the Washington Capitals. Welcome back to Into the Den, everybody. I'm your host, Jay Freeman, and this was a breath of fresh air. This was a win that we needed desperately off the back of a few nights ago against the freaking Hurricanes. Might I add, shout out to the dorm right in front of me that did not file a noise complaint, and shout out to all of my freaking suite mates that did not immediately think that I was having a heart attack. I mean, some of them probably did, but that's beside the point. I mean, there were still some things about this game that were very. There were definitely some things about this game against the Capitals that were a bit shaky. I felt that. Sorry. There were definitely some defensive breakdowns that couldn't have that it shouldn't have happened, especially that Backstrom goal that happened right after a hilarious bounce that we're going to get into later. That Backstrom goal should have never happened, but I mean, this game sort of felt like both games against the Oilers, because as soon as one team scores, less than a minute later, it's tied up again. But Pasta turned in another two goal game this today, and he's been on a freaking tear. I mean, most goals in the league since January 1st, and is fantastic. But we did end up with a very scary situation. Brad Marchand seemed to have gotten hurt on one of his shoulders in the middle of the game, and he went down the tunnel and was never seen again. For the rest of the game. So not only are we taking quite a lot of penalties, is like the Bruins had like 2 or 3 power play opportunities the whole game, and the Caps had like 6 or 7, but I mean, the Bruins, they didn't have one of their best penalty killers for the entire second half of the game, and it definitely hurt. But we managed to overcome adversity. Sure. I mean, we go into the first 2 periods at 1-1 and 2-2 respectively. So this game was absolutely pretty close and sort of a back and forth for the whole game. But there was one. He wasn't the only guy who got hurt. Anton Bleed ended up getting absolutely decked by Tom Wilson, and a lot of people are going to say Tom Wilson's going to be is a dirty player, and it was a vicious hit. Vicious hit, yes. Dirty hit, I don't think so. It was Anton Bleed had clear possession of the pocket, and it was a big crackback hit, but I don't think it was. But it was one that we would be cheering for Chara making, and it was one that would be cheering for Chara making, but not. And screaming that it was a clean hit on any other team. So, congrats to Tom Wilson. You made it through an entire game without making a dirty hit. What do you want, a freaking medal? Anyway, but remember Nick Dowd, the dude that fucked up Marchand's face a few games ago? In Bloody Marshy. It turns out his ended up on directed towards one of his own teammates, getting a puck, with Matt Irwin getting a puck line drive to the face, and he goes down like a sack of bricks. It was like that. That is absolutely a dang it. But we also have to talk about the bounce. There was a weird bounce that ended up being credited as a goal for Bergeron. Bergeron didn't even freaking touch the puck. But DeBrusque tries to pass it off to Bergeron. He's flying around trying to poke the puck in. It bounces off of Kuznetsov and through Vanacek, and it's spinning, and it spins in just a way that that for a split second it barely crosses the crease, and from all angles, and before getting cleared, they don't call it a goal until like 20 seconds later, and then less than 20 seconds of game time after the next faceoff. That's when the Backstrom goal happened, and just the Bruins. The one place we are not the worst place we are with the puck is in our own zone, which is very, very confusing, and it's something that this team needs to get a handle on, right? And I direct a lot of blame towards Brandon Carlo, but the more I watch, the more I realize that Connor Clifton is just Brandon Carlo if he had absolutely no talent. But eventually, with less than 3 minutes left, we get the Bruins get one last chance at taking it. One last chance at getting at putting it away without having to take it to overtime. Thanks to a Nick Dowd tripping penalty on Derek Forbert. And honestly, if there's one player that's been underratedly great recently, it's Jake DeBrusque. I don't know if I want to trade him. I mean, it would we would have to get at least something good for him, especially with how he's playing now. I mean, he's not putting up the 20-goal season like he did, the nearly 30-goal season that he did a few years ago, but he's still a valuable member of this team. But the dude, Haula enters the zone, and DeBrusque is handling the puck for just enough to where he has a clear seam to McAvoy, who's is in his usual spot, right in front of the net, at about where the faceoff circle are, like laterally, and so that ends up putting the game away. Caps pull Vanacek, but none of them can really get enough, and that kills the game. Was it perfect? No. Was it a good game? Yeah. Am I excited for this this upcoming game against the Jets? Kinda. I still am a bit terrified of Kyle Connor, and and for all those wondering, yes, I do still wish that we took him in that 2015 draft, but anyway, but there's not really much else that needs to be said. I mean, there were definitely a few times where it felt like without Marchand, we were down. We were getting in our own way, and I had to reiterate in my head that hockey is a 60-minute game. I am I'm sort of happy that I'm not really saying that as much as I was at the beginning of the season, but that's also because the Bruins have been better at covering up their own mistakes recently. But uh, but the improvement, it's nice, and it definitely showed that game against the Caps was sort of, it was just one game. It was just one game, and there was no real reason to freak out all that much about it. I mean, sure, it was still freaking embarrassing, but we got back on our feet. So I think that is it for tonight's episode of Into the Den. Thank you all so much for watching. And click like if you like, click subscribe if you really like. Down below is still the GoFundMe for Jake Tebow to help the recovery of a kid who was seriously almost life-threateningly injured in a hockey accident. And tell all your friends that the Bruins got to draft better, because again, next game we're going up against Kyle Connor, and we could have had him. And who did we get instead? Zachary Senyshyn.